Watch Who?
Hello.
And welcome to Two Watch Who, a Doctor Who podcast. I'm Mark.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm a Doctor Who fan.
And I'm new to watching Who.
Watching for the very first time.
Very first time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't know why I did that. I just felt it. I felt the moment.
Well, welcome everyone. We're aboard the Empress cruise liner. We're on a cruise, aren't we, Sarah?
Yes.
You enjoying it?
When you say cruise, I think of water. So we're on a...
Space cruise.
Space cruise, thank you. Now I've got it. Now I'm there.
Yeah, you got your magazine. You got your snacks.
Yes, I've got heat.
Space Heat magazine. It's nice and relaxing, isn't it? There's a lot of people on this ship, isn't there?
Yes.
Who's this? Who's this next to us? Hello.
Oh, hello.
It's David. What are you doing here?
Hello. Hi there. I just booked the ticket as well and just ended up next to you.
Oh, here you are. Yes. Well, yeah. It's a really nice ship, isn't it?
Actually, it's probably the best time to say it now. So, do you remember the Dominators? I brought the little curtains along.
Oh, yes.
Well, I noticed you're not wearing the beautiful, tinfoil outfits and glasses. So I bought you a little present each. So thought, especially Sarah would look great in the sunglasses. I thought just,
Well, I feel like we do need to. We need to all blend in here,
exactly.
Don't we? So we better put them on.
Yeah.
We better. Yeah. They must be for some special space use.
I think they're for roasting a chicken, but I mean, that's that as well.
I love them. I love that, like, to fly in space as a passenger, you need to be in a tinfoil outfit. I'm all for it. I'm all for a bit of shine, bit of glitz and glam.
Well, while we're here on this cruise liner, which doesn't seem to be going anywhere, let's have a chat about
We've been here for hours. We should have landed hours ago.
Well, we might as well chat about Nightmare of Eden while we're here.
Well, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Hopefully the same thing won't happen to us on this cruise ship. I'm looking for Jane McDonald. Where is she? Because we'll go cruising with her.
Before we start, does anyone want some Vraxo in? Because I brought some on board. Just to get us going on this trip. Anyone?
Yes, going. What are you sending us on?
Mark, I thought better of you.
Well, it was just here. I just found some. It was in this pocket of this thing. So
this thing? Are you going through people's pockets now, Mark? Mark's turned to a life of crime all of a sudden.
I don't think I need it because I giggle too much anyway. So I think it would I don't think I'd have any effect on it. But thanks for offering. Maybe later on I might need it.
Sometimes I think people think I'm pissed already when I do this, so I think it make no difference. Okay, I'm really not.
I will hand it around to everyone else on it.
Mark's handing out illegal drugs to everyone.
Woo!
That's really bad, guys. Can you not do that? Thank you very much. Last time I did a voice with David, and it was Mrs. Doubtfire, and he just had a complete...
She's here as well.
Like, hello! Sorry, I had a flashback.
Do you think Mrs. Doubtfire would like some Vraxo in?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, please, darling.
Oh, hello,
dear. Oh, hello, dear.
Okay, sorry. I think everyone's taken some before I got here.
I said to you, it reminded me of a murder mystery.
Yeah, but it's more of like instead of who was murdered, it's who's done the drugs, I suppose. But this story...
Well, people do get killed. What are you on about?
Oh, yeah, I suppose so. But it's about the drug smuggling, isn't it?
It's like the overlapping of, like, the drugs, but also, like, then does that mean you're like, well, what's happened here?
I mean, this one, I wasn't sure how it was going to go with any of us, actually. I'm not really sure if we were going to enjoy it or not. I personally haven't enjoyed it before, so it's a good thing David is here for this one, because I've got a feeling that you might like it.
Hey, do you know what? It's a childhood favourite. Funnily enough, I was thinking about it. It was one that I used to watch a lot on video because it came out, and I really, really loved it. But I think watching it again, there's things in it, I must say, that I was a bit like, oh, okay, right. We'll get into it, but it's not as good as I remembered. But it's quite camp, and we all love a bit of camp.
It's really camp.
We all love a bit of camp.
Well, okay, because David, I thought you were going to be quite positive on it. I was going to say, because you always come on the ones that might not have the best reputation and are more positive. I was going to say you're like super nanny of Doctor Who stories,
I think-
you know.
You guys are in a crisis. I'm on my way.
All I'm going to say to you, Mark, is that comment is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. I don't like it. It's unacceptable.
Are you negative about this, Mark?
I thought I was going to be, because it's a bit like some of the previous seasons. The budget isn't as high as maybe it could have been. Some of the acting I don't think is particularly great, but it does have a good story. If you can get past all the other sort of production issues, I think actually it is good. And it's not one that I would tend to go back and watch, or I've watched a lot anyway.
I think for me, this whole season is one that I grew up with a lot as a kid. So I kind of still love it, if that makes sense. Like Destiny of the Daleks, which is the first one of the season, was the first Doctor Who story I ever watched. So that one for me is quite special because it's the first one that got me into Doctor Who. And I feel it's a bit like this with Nightmare of Eden. Like the older I get, the more I'm like, but yeah. But then I think actually, no, it is quite fun. It's quite silly and it's very cheap. It was done on a budget of about £2.50.
That's so interesting because what was it last week, Mark?
Oh, Creature from the Pit.
I really struggle with that. Yeah, because I haven't heard that yet. I really struggle. And I'm not sure if it was just, I ended up actually being quite short on time to watch it. So it became quite difficult. So this week I allowed loads of time. I allowed Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday, which is when we're recording. And I ended up watching it all on Saturday night. What a cool Saturday night I had.
I cannot believe this, that you watched it.
Yeah, I
all in
thought
one
I'd do
go.
like one or two, or one, maybe two on the Sunday, and then finish it on Monday. And I ended up watching it all.
That's impressive.
I can't believe you like this one so much.
I know.
It's
I really enjoyed it.
Wow. I thought this was going to be the one that I thought Sarah's going to struggle with this one, but I was wrong.
I don't know. I think though the story itself had a lot of elements of mystery, and I love a good mystery. You know me, I love Poirot, so like mystery's my game. Love it, and there was a campness to it. The Doctor, for example, his character and stuff like that. You know, there were
Not
all these.
the Doctor,
No.
just to be
Not
clear.
the Doctor, the other Doctor. What was he called?
Trist.
Trist, yes. He was quite camp. To begin with, that guy who's with I'm like, why is he such an asshole? And I was loving all that. And it's not until later when you see the captain's like on the stuff himself, you're like, okay, yeah. All of that. It's usually a story can build for a while. I just like that they got straight in it. The costumes, like everyone in their little silver outfits, I lolled a lot at, but I ended up in sort of like a, well, why wouldn't they? I mean, they're traveling in space and I'm just embracing this. Like, it was almost like we're at the age of like real commercial airlines taking off and stuff. And that element's been embraced into Doctor Who alongside like silver shiny outfits. And I'm like, yeah, I'm for it. It's funny.
It was the police costumes that I think got me. The kind of like the sort of black, but with a little bit of sparkle to kind of make them.
I love a bit of sparkle. We're in space, bit of sparkle, bit of shine. You know,
Okay, well, if we do like mega clothes watch a minute then, because I think all the outfits have a bit of sparkle, don't they?
do.
I think it's amazing that Romana was dressed as a Brillo pad.
Oh,
Because
she is terrible.
That costume is not.
Oh yeah, she doesn't look
Yeah,
great.
it does look like a Brillo pad because it's that colour of like grey but a little bit of red.
That feels like her style of this season.
Well, no, she's had better stuff. Yes, I think it's the grey, and she sort of blends in with a lot of the grey of the set and stuff. I don't think it's the best for her. She's had better.
I don't think she has. I mean, last week she was like white, wasn't she? Like
No, she had the nice pink
weird-
and the white scarf, didn't she? And she was.
that was when she was in France, wasn't it?
That was the schoolgirl.
No, that was on the Daleks.
Schoolgirl one, wasn't it?
Ah, that schoolgirl outfit was that. Yeah.
The guards in this as well. They're like
Oh, God,
sparkly, sort of. What are they called? Like you play netball in, but long.
What vests?
Well, yeah, I suppose. No bib. You know, like netball bibs. Bibs. They're like
Yeah.
sparkly bibs. I don't know. I think that's another budget thing. In my mind, that's what I think. I think of the greyness of Romana's dress, the sort of beigeness of the walls and all of that. But that's been really harsh on it, and I shouldn't be so harsh.
It does feel a little bit like that they spent all the money on City of Death, and it was a bit like, well, what money can we find behind the sofa to make? I mean, Creature from the Pit still looks quite, the costumes aren't really good, but for this one, it does seem like they're trying to find any bit of money that they can use to sort of make it look as best as it can, but it just looks incredibly cheap.
I mean, it's all studio, and it's like, what, 3 sets?
Yeah.
Use different rounds.
Yeah.
So, it's quite...
It's more than 3.
Well, it's not that many, is it? It's like the lab, the ship, the corridors, and
there's 2 labs. And then you've got the ship deck, you've got corridors, you've got where the box is, you've got all the different sets when they go into Eden and stuff like that. I loved that Eden set. It was really cheap, but it worked. I don't know, I just thought it was quite cute.
The story is strong enough to get past a lot of these things, I think.
Yeah, I feel it's one of those that if the budget was more and they could have done more, like if things were a bit fancier, I think you'd probably think a bit higher of it. But actually, I don't know, maybe I'm just more used to it now. Maybe I just accept that budgets aren't what they were. For me, if they're in and out, and I think the monster itself, I think it looks great.
I love the Mandrels because they just look very shit, but they're great Doctor Who. That's what you expect. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what, and it moves. It can move. Sometimes with things that can't even move, it can get about. And there was a few of them. It wasn't just one guy in one costume the whole time. And then they keep at some point there was 4 of them, wasn't there, in the corridor and stuff. I don't know. I thought I'll always take a physical monster over something that's just been scrapped together to look.
It is that funny thing, and it happens a lot in this story, and it happens a lot in other stories where, because the monsters are very cheap looking, that people literally have to dive into them to get killed by them. Do you know what I mean? If they're going to get killed by them, they literally have to sort of push themselves into them and go, ah! When they're, I'm sure there's a few scenes of, I'm sure it's the bit where the lift opens and the woman kind of runs into them to get killed by them. It's that sort of...
They were all different heights. They weren't the same. Look at it. I think it's kind of cute.
It is very cute.
And maybe it's because, I don't know, it's a Saturday night, but I felt like if this was on TV on a Sunday afternoon, banging, And also, I'll tell you, sorry, I am really wittering on here because we are going to go into a story, but I think what I also really enjoyed is there were no moments where I felt there were padding. All the scenes served a point and purpose. But, even the scenes where, what's his name was trying to convince the doctor, oh, I think it could be her, and you're like, is it? That's the whole point. And then he ends up being the baddie. Everything felt like it was bringing the story along or trying to drive you in a direction to then take you somewhere else because it's a mystery.
It's a really interesting, quite a dark story for 5 o'clock on a Saturday night. Do you know what I mean? It's not drug smuggling, but of course you've got to tell it in a Doctor Who way. So you have all this, kind of cuddly monsters and things like that. But at the end if you boils it down, it's all about drugs, which, considering the main audience is probably kids of about 8 or 9, it's quite heavy, really. I mean, okay, I think that's what it is. I think with this story, people look at the story and go, oh, it's very, very dark, but they remember it more because it's a cheap production. I think it kind of gets forgotten about a bit, that it is all about drug smuggling and it's all about, capturing these animals or creatures and what's the word I'm trying to use? Trying to captivate them and
in captivity.
That's what I mean. That's what I meant. Yeah.
I also really loved. So we will get into the story. Sorry, Mark, but we've not had. I mean, we've had boxes before that trap things. Go back to Debbie McGee and stuff.
Well, I was going to say it is very like Carnival of Monsters.
Yeah, but I liked that it was suddenly this sort of. I like the sort of different elements of it being then they could go in and out. And that was a new sort of aspect to it. Because otherwise they were just on this ship. This provided a different place, a different outlet, something new.
I just better say to everyone around us as well, the Mandrels aren't going to be here. This happened a while ago. Okay, guys, just chill. Okay.
have some
Fraxo and get yourself
Yeah.
shit faced. You'll have a lovely time.
There's plenty here.
Yeah.
I got a bag.
Yeah.
Right. So you got these spaceships colliding at the beginning. I have to say, I watched this on the Blu-ray where the special effects have been updated, so the spaceships look a little bit better than they do
Mark, you didn't watch it as
on
is?
the original. No.
I watched it as is, you see. I'm a traditionalist, me. I'm a traditionalist.
But is it actually clear what's happening? And obviously they say, but the actual ships colliding, you're like, it's not the best opening, those models.
And there's that great, I don't know if you notice on the ship when the actor playing Rig is trying to sort of like make it look like he's controlling everything, and it's clearly just a bit of stuck on bit of cardboard.
Nothing moves at all. There's even a zoom in on like nothing happening.
And like the only bit of technology that they've got are keyboards, and that's it. Like nothing else. Keyboards. Just that's it. Like it's just you kind of think, okay, right. Start as we mean to go on a little bit.
But I think because I felt warmed by everyone sat there in the boiler suits, which also that is an outfit that can definitely be recreated.
Just saying this now, I went into Cyberdog not long ago in Camden Town, and they're selling them for £150 if anyone's interested. Okay.
Oh my God. I mean, you can do it cheaper than that. You can definitely do it cheaper than that.
It's a cosplay idea if anyone's thinking,
Totally. Nightmare of Eden cosplay, 100%.
I'd so do it. I'd so be a passenger. Where were they going to?
Azure.
Oh, I don't
Azure,
know.
wasn't it?
Yeah. It reminded me.
Oh.
Whenever they kept saying where it was, you're right, because it reminded me of that board game with the glass. There's a board game called Zool. I'm thinking of that.
They're heading there.
They're heading to
They're heading to the glass board game.
Sarah, you could wear the silver thing, and then I could be pressing the button and go, oh no! No.
I mean, I'm not with you though.
Yeah.
But that's pretty standard because Mark always has me off somewhere else, and he's always in the middle of the
Well,
action,
if I can join, I'll go. He died a few times.
Yeah.
I want to be the guy that's just like, yeah, whatever. It's all good. Like he's
So,
all.
you've got that captain, and you've got druggy guy. I've called him. So the captain and the druggy guy.
Who's so useless. And also, that's the first time we're opening. I've been like, this guy's a dick.
Yeah, he was.
Which also I loved. I loved it straight away. I'm like, what is up with this guy? Like, you're a dick.
But also, I think it's quite clever because you do think that, and then actually later on you're like, oh, hang on. It makes sense, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But do we ever find out? I mean, he's taking the drugs, right? Did he take them by accident or on purpose? Because
I think he
everybody else
found them.
took
I think
them
he found them because he was going and took them. And he knows that like they're somewhere on the ship because he's found some.
Okay, so
That's
it's not
why
his
he's trying to
fault.
find-
He's a dick. He's a dick, but it's not his fault because he accidentally.
Well, I mean, he
took
shouldn't
drugs.
have taken the drugs. It's not like the captain that got spiked, but like.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He wasn't. Was he? He wasn't like.
I think he probably came across them and took them, and now he's addicted. Lesson to the kids, though, innit? Watching. If you come across drugs and take them, then like you'll get attacked by a Doctor Who monster and die.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like, that's the
The
lesson.
captain we have seen in Doctor Who before.
Oh, go on.
A while back, though. I don't think you're going to remember.
I don't remember what I did yesterday. Never mind. Go on.
So he was in the Sontaran episode, Sarah Jane's first story.
Oh my gosh! Right.
With Rock with a cigar.
Yeah.
In the medieval times, he was Irongron, like head of the castle.
Oh, okay. I mean, I remember it sort of. I don't remember specifics of people. I remember cigar, and I remember it being medieval. I remember Sarah running in the TARDIS, but
He was the medieval man in it, the main medieval man in it.
okay. I can't remember him specifically, but
and Doc Cotton's in it. I mean, that's all you need to know.
yeah, exactly. Doc Cotton was in that one.
Yeah, anyway.
That's
so
probably why I don't remember anyone else.
Do you know my favourite one in this? And I think it's just in this scene. I love that crew member who reports back to Rig and he looks at the camera like he's a weather reporter. I don't know if you remember it. But
Which one's
he's such a bad actor. It's a bit where they sort of say what's happened on the bridge, and he's holding the little device, but he keeps looking at the camera to be like, and it looks like he's a news reporter. It's like John Williams, BBC News. It's so terrible. It's so terrible. He does it again later.
I'm going to have to go back and just find
It's
that.
in the first 5 minutes of episode 1. It's really, but it's hilarious because he kind of looks at it and then keeps just looking at the as if to be like, "Look, Mum, I'm in Doctor Who."
Everything's set up pretty quickly, so we know that these 2 spaceships have crashed. Doctor and Romana arrive, and they're like, "Oh, look, this is happening," and just quickly get into the story, which I quite like. It does move along at quite a good pace.
Well, they said that was there a distress beacon that we missed or something?
Oh, there was a mention of that, yeah, but we didn't actually see
there's
them.
a reason that they've been called to land, and I think it's that. Again, we're forgetting about the randomizer ever existing.
Oh yeah, that's gone now. Yeah.
That's long gone. I'll go on about it all season, but yeah, we're just forgetting that ever happened at the end of last season, apparently.
And then this is where we meet Trist,
who
is our zoologist guy. Now, should he have had that accent or not?
It's a bit of a game.
Should he have had those glasses? There's many things we could put on this.
I do feel like the more I got into it, it was a bit of a game of what accent is Triss doing now? Because it was not one accent. I mean, it was one of those when he first appeared. I thought, did they really think that was an all right accent? Did no one say to you, "Oh, actually, I don't think you should do an accent. Just keep it as."
Do you think, though, I reckon that they put in he needs an accent because he's supposed to be like some... And so he's gone, okay, and then has changed his accent throughout.
Well, I read a thing afterwards saying that the actor, apparently, it was him and Tom Baker who decided to put an accent, and this is what they went for. And I feel like it's that thing of, did Tom Baker actually say that, or did he just do it to make you sound a bit more ridiculous? It's just so bizarre because it doesn't... It's like... Is he German? Is he Austrian? Is he what? But he never sticks to it. That's the thing. The more he goes in it,
and I love that.
It slips.
But also, in a way, it kind of ends up fitting with this character who you think is some nice zoologist guy and ends up being one of the baddies. And it kind of fit into... I'd have loved it if he'd have just dropped the accent at the end.
Yeah, because it does put you off. That's the only thing you think, oh, he's so ridiculous, it's not going to be him at least. Maybe that's what the reason is. And he's a little bit, when he is right at the end in the ship with the other guy at the end, he's slightly more serious. The accent is slightly toned down. It's still there, but he sounds a bit more sort of harsh in his voice. But yeah, right at that beginning, you're like, he's this harmless, hey, Zen is scientist, you know?
Exactly, yeah. It reminded me of nothing in the world can stop me now, and he ended up being a baddie too.
I do think this is a controversial opinion, but I do think it is one of the most baffling performances ever to be in Doctor Who. Because there are so many things in it. I'm like, why? Why did you do this accent? Why is this the accent you chose? The actor was Australian.
Which accent?
So why did you do a sort of, I don't know, I just speak like this, and we lost one, but then it's just weird.
Part of this, I don't know if this is part of the explanation, but the director did leave halfway through making this. I don't know if it was
really?
fired, him and Tom Baker didn't get on, and there was lots of behind the scenes issues. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. The director might have been tone it down, everyone, we don't need this, and he had to leave, didn't he? And the producer had to take over. So it wasn't... Behind the scenes on this sounds pretty
and it's
bad.
It's odd as well because I think because he's the only one doing it, it kind of... If other people were doing accents, he could get away with it a bit more. But because
So was he one of Tom Baker's mates? And he got him a job, and then he was like, let's do this. And then the director was like, fuck you guys.
I think it's Tom Baker being I know this show really well now. We're doing it how I say. It's my idea sort of thing. And not communicating with the director or not listening. And then this is the result that we get.
I like to think that it was just... The actor went, "Oh, Tom, can I just do this accent to you and see what you think?" And Tom was like, "Yes, that sounds great." Knowing full well that it's ridiculous, but it's memorable. Maybe not for the right reasons, but it's memorable. As is Della. I mean,
I loved it. I don't know. I think actually what I enjoyed about the accent was it distinguished him as a character from the other people that were running ships. if that makes sense. There's like shit people, and then I love that like the people that were in their tinfoil boiler suits were exactly what you expected them to be. When they spoke, they set up their like committee and they said that woman who then got attacked. I laughed a lot at that.
I wrote it down as a Karen.
I was like, ha, that's hilarious.
The skipper's got an
It should have been on Azure hours ago. My package are asking you to represent them, to take our complaints to the captain.
You know, all right, I'll do it. And it'd be me. This would be me. Like, I'd be the one like, yeah, I'm going to go talk to the captain. Like, I've got all of our requests. And then you get attacked by a monster. Like, of course that happened. I think and she talks exactly how I expected her to talk. Like, everything about that performance was exactly as expected. It was very like middle class white English Karen, and I loved it. Before Karen was even like on the scene for it, it was perfect. Which is why I think I appreciated his accent so much, because it just helped really distinguish who people were.
I know this is jumping right to the end, but was it a surprise when it was revealed he was the... Because I think that's the other thing of he spends the whole 4 episodes going, it's not me, it's this person. It's not me, it's Stott. It's not... That actually when it is revealed it is him, you're a bit like, oh, right, okay.
Yes and no. I hadn't worked out who was involved. Yeah, it was a little bit of a surprise, but it wasn't like like shock. It's when they work out that there's got to be 2 people involved and you're trying to think which 2. And it does sort of narrow down because people start being killed and stuff. So that kind of narrows it a little. But it wasn't... So I think that's maybe why it wasn't a shock. But I thought it was done quite well.
I think I was a little bit surprised the first time I watched it. But I always thought that it was the other guy, the Diamond guy. Diamond. I think that's obvious because he's a sort of outsider.
Think it was him. I genuinely didn't, because he wasn't in it a lot until towards the end.
I don't know. He was just a bit more shifty.
He's only in when he's in scenes like, "Can we just separate our ships? I've got things to do. Like, you've crashed into my ship," and that's the only time when like you see him, and then it's not until later where he's in it a bit more that you're like, oh, maybe he is involved a bit.
Because it's not really going to be anybody else though, is it? Out of them 2.
Well, everyone starts getting killed. Like episode 3, once they run amok, like they're whacking people off left, right, and centre.
It's like, because it's not going to be Della, and it's not going to be Stott. Because I don't
know. There was a moment where I wondered if it was going to be Della, because we've had that. We had the nurse last term. I was going to say in school last season.
Yeah, we read a lot of female villains.
Well, yeah, we do. We've had quite a few female villains recently.
Last week, Lady
and where someone's been like really there in the background. I mean, she was a nurse, and then she was actually the main villain. Like, so I did have a memory. I was like, it could be because she doesn't want them to look at Eden. They figured out something about Eden. Like, she was the one that was fussy. Like, no, we don't look at that. Oh, he doesn't like us looking at that. But it felt like it was more her thing about being defensive. He did turn off the machine and stuff when they said, like, so I don't know, it sort of all played in quite well, I thought.
I've said this before, I have to say it again because I wrote it down. I keep calling her Rachel because she looks like Rachel from S Club 7 in my mind. I don't know why. Like, it's Tristan Rachel.
As soon as you said Rachel, my head went, he's going to say S Club 7. But my head was like, when Mark says Rachel, he doesn't mean Rachel from Friends, he means Rachel from S Club 7.
Hi everyone, I'm Rachel Stevens.
Her performance is a bit...
do you know what? I quite liked her in this. Apart from when she gets shot. Does she get shot in the head and she
holds the stomach? Yeah, she goes, yeah.
But again, when was that? That was like episode 3, 4?
Like 4, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if the producer's directing the episode at this point, they're not saying, okay, the beam that you can't see is going to hit you at a certain point. She probably it's just going to hit you. And she didn't probably think it was going to hit her in the head.
I looked up the actress and... Yeah, she's not had a great career. I feel like Doctor Who is like... She was in one of the worst sitcoms ever made called Come Back, Mrs. Noah, which I feel like Mark has seen.
Yes, that's not the worst. That's great.
Of course he's seen
that's
it.
Great.
And That's My Boy. That's another thing she was in, which is another really dreadful... So it's like Doctor Who and 2 dreadful sitcoms. That's her legacy.
Can I disagree? LA 7, Miami 7, Seeing Double. She's been in loads.
Primeval. Oh no, she wasn't in Primeval.
No, that was the other one. She's got a reunion tour coming up this year. Like, she's doing fine.
Anyway, let's go back to...
But I like that scene between Della and Romana, where Della's talking about, what's his name, being killed. I can't remember his name now. Stott and everything. I thought that was quite a nice... I would have liked a bit more of that. Maybe her and Romana team up. We don't really get those character moments. Like, I feel like we used to a lot all the time. But there's not really time in this, but I liked it when she sat down and was like, you need to tell me about what happened. I thought that was nice.
No, it was nice. No, it was...
Nobody else. Everyone's like, whatever.
I did think it was a nice scene, and it was, again, but that's a very standard scene.
Wasn't
like we have to let the female companion talk to another female at some point.
As we carry on, our druggy guy at the beginning, he gets killed in the smoke, so there's something out there. We don't really see the full monster yet. Well, actually, then we do at the end of part 1, where it comes out the pipe.
I love that cliffhanger, because it's just like, it's so quintessentially Doctor Who, isn't it? It's just sort of like...
I agree.
It's just...
But it's there, hanging out, and the captain doesn't even really react. The Doctor doesn't react, and they're like, oh, there's a monster. Okay, we'll just block up the hole again. Like, why do they even open it up in the first place? I don't know. It was just a bit like, let's open it up for the cliffhanger and then close it again.
Yeah. There's a great line as well. I think it's in part 1. I've written it in my notes. I feel like a lot of it as well, Tom Baker's ad-libbed. Like, there's a great line where he talks about working for the Galactic or something. And he says, oh, Galactic went out years ago. And Tom just goes, oh, I wonder why I hadn't been paid. And he says, oh, that's not good enough. And he says, oh, that's what I said. Oh, there's another one, something like, work for, who do I don't work for anyone, I'm just having fun. And I like that.
The guy says something like, you've got to work for someone.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone works for someone or something, doesn't he?
I think those are really nice little moments that kind of, show that the Doctor can just go into that situation and just have fun and enjoy it.
That was also something, because they figure out that, like, he's not who he is. And normally that would completely derail the story, and it didn't, and I appreciated it. I appreciated that despite everyone's concerns, we're still trooping on with this story. We're still trooping on with someone trying to help out what's going on and stuff. And, yeah, Mark feels different, I can tell.
No, yeah, I was just saying, while all those ad-libs are happening, the director is like, I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit any minute now. If he does one more ad-lib.
Apparently, according to the behind the scenes, apparently they said at the end of the production, all the crew got T-shirts and said the nightmare is over. Because apparently it was like that bad, this production, that it's often like said, I think it was on the commentary I listened to, it's like they often said this is the worst story they've ever had to do in production because it was so rushed, because it was like suddenly the director had left, the producer had to take over, they had no time, they had no money, it was like just get it all done. So, but for that I do,
and yet we get such a gem.
Yeah.
So in part 2 we get a bit more K9 doing stuff. Now, we're not fond of the new K9 voice particularly. This whole like, oh, it's only going to be 60%. I'm telling you, it's going to only be 60% effective. All of that.
The whole attitude.
It's like a whole different character. I don't
really
know why.
Is. It really is.
Like, he seems a bit too sort of smarmy now. I don't know.
It's Dickhead Dog. We used to have Dickhead Doctor, now it's Dickhead Dog.
Yeah. I've only really noticed watching these through because he's only been in the last couple of stories. This new.
I wonder if it's
K9.
the actor. I wonder, because I think with John Leeson, who's the previous one, I feel like he would have done it a bit more kind of not cheeky, but do you know what I mean? A bit more kind of innocent.
There was something much more neutral and like supportive about the previous voice tone, and this one, like we talked about it quite a lot in last episode, but like this one just feels really like sarky. I think it's just how it's being said.
Because, yeah, I think the previous one would have been like 60%, 60%. And this one's like, it's 60%. Actually, it's only going to be 60%. I've told you it's only 60%. Do you know what I mean? It's like that.
Whenever it's just a scene with K9, why did they not put any music over him? Because you just hear a lot of zzz, like you hear the wheels go over the. But I've never noticed it more in this story. Like you just think, surely you'd get rid of that or you'd do something because.
Well, it sounds like it was so rushed.
Yeah, that's true. They probably
they never even thought to put like music was like a last choice.
And this is this episode where the captain gets spiked, and. Is it like, it's just like plastic? Do you just see a hand just come into shot? Like, how did nobody, he's standing right there. They're Stella and him are standing right there. Where has his hand come from that
Well,
spikes
isn't
the
it behind
drink?
the drink cabinet? Isn't that the thing?
Yeah. She's gone to the machine
Yeah.
and it's dispersing it, and then someone's come from behind and
And it's his fault for nicking her drink. Nicking her Lucozade.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it would have been her instead.
Yeah, and then she'd have been addicted to drugs.
But it's one of the things I thought is obviously that drink's probably aimed at Romana, but why are they trying to drug Romana? What are they trying to get from drugging Romana?
Does she know too much?
I thought it was more just to like she's getting too involved. Let's like give a distraction and we'll drug his assistant sort of thing.
Then at that point, then you know it's not Della necessarily. And I was really liking the captain actually, because we often get like dickhead captains that are shouting and putting people in prison and stuff. Actually, he's like, great, I'm glad you're here, Doctor. Let's work this out. And he's trying to get things done. And then he's complete. That's him complete. Does he actually die?
Yeah, he gets shot by.
He dies and we never see him again. Because I really liked him up until that point.
I
did as well. I thought he was, even when he's like challenging him, he's really practical.
I think he's the best actor of the guest lot. I think he's the best performance because it feels more real, and even the scenes when he's laughing and giggling and all that, like it still works really well because you could see, because I think that's what you were saying earlier. Like he's not a dickhead, but he's very like authoritative and wanting to get it done. So then when he does all the sort of giggling like a child, you still kind of believe it. Whereas I think if that had been Trist, no one would have seen the difference.
No,
no.
Della.
And then this is the episode as well where we see the passenger chase. So this is Stott, isn't it? Stott, who's been secretly hiding in the bushes. And we've seen a face. And then he dresses up as a passenger.
Which is really clever because I had no idea who he was. Because in the bush, you don't see his hair or anything. You only see the eyes.
Yeah, you don't see much.
You don't see much at all. So I genuinely thought it was a passenger. I really did. I thought it's someone that's like got on the ship as a passenger and is part of this like drugs thing.
It's funny that though when they have that whole chase, it's just the same piece of. Like that was the other thing I know. Obviously, it was done on a really small budget, but I did feel like there's no scale to this spaceship. It's like, as you say, it's like the same three sets. Like it's supposed to be a huge cruise ship, and it's just like the same bit of corridor going back and forth. Probably the same passengers.
Yeah. I was trying to look to see if they'd moved them round.
Yeah, probably hadn't.
I thought the scene when they were running through the stuff was really good, though. You know, when the doctor was chasing him and he's going down that long corridor.
What, that round under the stairs again and again? The same.
No. Yeah, but after that, and he goes into the thing, and it's all like quirky, and then the doctor comes out and he's like, I can't believe I got through that.
The interspatial thing.
Yeah.
Yes, I forgot about that, yeah.
I thought that was really good, because sometimes that can be really cheesy, that sort of effect, but actually I thought it was effective.
With these passengers that are sitting there, right, they're obviously waiting to go on holiday. How long do you think they are waiting while this adventure happens? Are we talking like this all happens in an hour, 2 hours? How long are they all sitting there reading their magazines while an adventure happens?
But I think they're supposed to be going around the planet, aren't they? Not landing somewhere.
No, I think they're on their way.
I think they're on their way to a planet, I think.
I thought it was just to see it.
No, I think it's to visit it, and someone will tweet us, I'm sure, if we're. But,
yeah, they will.
But I do. I always think it's done within like an hour. I don't know. It feels like a sort of a quick progression of. That's how I look at it, anyway. But
I think it could all happen in an hour, yeah.
Or more.
And they've been there for several hours, as she says, when she goes with all their complaints to the captain.
Yeah. Where's all like the stewards? Where's everyone handing out
it's all computers. He says it to the computer, and the computer informs people.
And obviously half the passengers, well, they all get pretty much killed by Mandrels at this point as well.
Yeah.
Which we totally forgot. Which, David, you have to explain the woman's close-up. I don't know, Sarah, if you saw this.
Nightmare of Eden features possibly the best shot in Doctor Who history. I think it's in episode 3. So it's the bit where the policeman walks into the bridge and he sees the passengers getting attacked on the screen. And there's a close-up of the woman's face, which I've just sent to you on WhatsApp.
Oh, yes, I remember that scene.
She's like, ah! She's enjoying it far too much, I must say. It's the funniest shot, I think, ever to be in Doctor Who. Ever. Ever.
Yeah, I saw that as well and had a good laugh. At the moment, there's something quite twee about it. Do you know what it reminded me of this? It reminded me of Midsummer Murders. Right? Because, Midsummer Murders is usually, it's a bit dark, there's murder, but, it's quite dark, quite intense. And then you've got, the Midsummer element that's, out in the country, and you've got, the woman like that that's like, I'm being eaten alive,
I actually must admit I did watch that scene quite a few times, rewatching it, because it just makes me.
Of course you did. It's brilliant.
It makes me laugh so much. It's just the way she's just enjoying it too much.
But she's an extra that's been paid for the day, and now she's going to have her close up.
It feels like the director or the producer has gone, right, love, we've got I need to see you looking terrified by being killed by a mandrel, and that's the face she did, and they're like, right, no time, let's just do it, get on with it.
She's now star of Midsummer Mandrels.
If that actress is still alive, please can someone find her, and I want to interview her about her choices in life, because I would love to meet that woman.
Well, we need to name her.
Stella.
Stella?
So she looks like a Stella.
Maggie. Okay. We'll call her Maggie.
Or Maggie. Maggie could work. It's that sort of bracket of time.
Okay, Maggie and Mandrel.
Do you think the character, she's just like, oh!
I genuinely think that they've gone, right, we're going to shoot, okay, extras. And I reckon they did it all on the first day. They'll have had all those extras there. They'll have done all the shots where they're running through. And then it'll been the last thing of the day, right, now you're all going to get eaten. It's still the director there. And they're like, right, we're going to do this shot now while you're all here. You can just do it. And she's like, me? Oh!
It's my chance.
It's my moment. And that's it. It's just brilliant.
Because the shot before is of the mandrels running into and that looks quite good. And then it's the one shot they're like, okay, what's the shot we're going to go for? That one.
Maybe after that shot, the director was like,
I'm leaving.
Right, now I'm going to quit.
That's what I'm dealing with. I'm quitting.
My career has peaked. This is the best shot I'm ever going to take. I'm going now.
He's like, if you get Maggie up to do that shot, I'm leaving this set right now. Maggie!
Oh no, that's when he finds out that there were no extras the next day. And that's why he had a cough. He was like, where's Maggie? Bring Maggie back. She was my star.
You're going to be a star. She actually got top billing. That's why there was a conflict between Tom Baker and the director.
But then also,
I could talk
attacked.
about her all day, that woman. I just love her.
No, I agree. I saw that and had a really good giggle
Every time I'm on this podcast, there's always an unsung hero of that episode, like the wench in Talons of Wing Chiang or whoever. And I feel like this is her.
Yeah,
She's never going to get mentioned.
It's our mags, it's our mags.
She's never going to get mentioned on a podcast again. So let's let her have a moment, all right?
I think as well, with Maggie, what makes that scene, if we're really going into this, is it's so still, and they're like, let's just check what's going on in and that's what makes it funnier for some reason. Everyone's like, oh yeah, it's and there's chaos, because the captain at this point, he's out of it. He's like, yeah, whatever, and it's just and they look at it, it's like, ah! And it's like, oh yeah. And also what's funny is the doctor earlier on being like, they're like, should we sort out the mandrel? He's like, no, we'll sort that out later. And he's like, ah!
Can I just say,
it's just so, the whole build, it's just so calm and quiet, and then it's like chaos, and they're like, okay, turn that off. That's enough of that.
Can I just say, for your consideration for the Oscars, that's all I'm saying.
Supporting actress, Maggie. The cliffhangers in this story are quite good.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't think they were too bad. I mean, I kept watching, so they must have been decent.
Dr. Romana jumping into Eden is quite good. We're moving the story on.
I thought that was really odd.
Something else to...
I thought that was... Because I felt the scale of it didn't quite work. It sort of... I think, had they made Eden try and look a bit bigger, I would have been more impressed. But it did look like that they had that, 2 inches of Eden to jump through. I don't know, it just...
Well, I think it's supposed to be like they've scooped up a bit of the world, and it is supposed... I see it as they've scooped up like a big area of land, and then it's just there. I don't know. I thought that
I thought
worked
it was quite
well.
effective. Yeah, I felt like it was literally them it was like they were stepping into a painting.
I like the last one of the Doctor disappearing. That was quite good.
Oh yeah, that was a bit of a shock when I first saw that cliffhanger, because you don't really know what's happened. The way he looks at the camera is like, oh, this isn't supposed to happen, and then he's like gone. Like, I thought they were quite
I
good.
would have preferred a cliffhanger face of Maggie, but I guess
I think they'd have to pay her more if she had a cliffhanger face.
if I was a kid in 1979 and that was the final shot, that would have got me back next Saturday at the same time. I would have got
It's random, just one you've never seen before, in danger.
I might get a face printed on a t-shirt. I'm really tempted.
And then when they are in Eden, it's a nice little set of a jungle and everything. The Doctor gets attacked by that vegetable thing.
Now,
he has to bite through
I'm sorry, but that did look like a woman's anatomy. I'm sorry. It did look like a woman's vagina. I'm sorry.
Which bit?
Is that Venus flytrap?
When the Doctor's
Oh
attacked.
yes, it did. Yeah.
But when he has to bite through it and it all goes that's quite good. I thought
most of the Eden stuff, I mean, considering the budget was so low, because Eden itself on the screen looks cheap. I think if it was flashing through, you wouldn't notice, but because they're on it for so long, you really see how cheap the leaves are and stuff. But then when they were I was thinking, oh, okay, well, let's see what this is going to be like. But when they're actually in it, it's actually pretty decent.
yeah, because you just see enough of it. You don't see too much, and you don't linger on things too much. And it's shot very dark as well, which helps, I think.
Always helps.
Do you think it would have been interesting if they'd gone into other? I know it's obviously called Nightmare of Eden, but if they'd done a bit more of jumping between the other worlds that they've captured, or is that just I don't know that much.
Well, I wrote down a couple of the other ones that were on there. Where else could they have gone? We could have gone to, I think, Zell or Zill, Geedy.
My favourite.
Oh, and I think there was one called Face or something.
Face?
I think Eden was the best one.
Yeah.
Definitely Geedy or Zell.
I want to go to Eden.
You'd want to go?
Yeah,
You'd actually want to go to Eden, would you?
Yeah, I want to go to the Eden Project.
Oh, I like it there.
Ooh. Is that
They're building a second one. They're building a new one.
Are they?
Yeah, in Morecambe near me, from home, in Lancashire. So they've got the Eden Project, obviously, down south, and then this one's going to be more about the sea and things like that. It's going to be more marine based, but it's the Eden Project. It's exactly the same, but it'll be in the north
with mandrels. No,
mandrels. No mandrels.
Another thing.
Surprise!
Another thing I noticed in episode 3 is there's no Della. She goes off for a bit. It says no, she's not in part 3 at all.
Is she not?
No.
To be fair, she's in it quite a bit, and then yeah, you're right. I hadn't even spotted that she wasn't in, but I remember thinking she has not been seen for a while. And I wonder if that's done on purpose to make you think that she's involved.
Was she ill or something that week?
I don't know.
Maybe it's unusual.
Maybe she was doing Comeback Mrs. Noah and she wasn't available or something. I don't know.
I mean, possibly. I mean, you joke, but that could actually be. No, I can't see.
Because then she kind of comes back in part 4 being like, oh, I've just been helping down at the sick bay. Kind of really sort of.
It's funny, yeah, you don't see all of that. Obviously, maybe it's a budget thing, but you could have had some other shots of the passengers and maybe there's not actually that much for her to do, really. Maybe that's what it is.
And I think part 3 is probably concentrating more on the stock storyline, which kind of, I don't know, that always seems a bit, not shoehorned in, but it kind of just seems a bit, that to me, that's when personally it was dragging a little bit, sort of that whole bit of him being in the not Eden Project, but his Eden house, and talking about what happened, and the scars that looked like they were lipstick on his face. It was just a bit kind of.
Yeah, because the Doctor and Romana meet him, don't they? And then they go out. And I don't like the bit where they're like, K9, friend, and K9 sniffs him.
Now listen, K9. This is Scott. He's a friend. All right?
Affirmative.
Good, let's get to work.
He's never had to do that before. I thought that was a bit odd.
Yeah.
What do we think about the Mandrels turning out to be the drugs?
I quite like that, because normally in a Doctor Who it's like monster, villain, villain, monster kind of thing, whereas with this, it was a nice twist to have it as they're not baddies, they're just being held captive and they've just been let out, basically.
Because they haven't done anything wrong, they've just been captured and then let aboard this ship. And so Trist and what's his name? Diamond. Diamond.
Diamond.
Or is it Diamond?
Diamond?
Diamond? Okay.
Diamond sounds about right.
It's a diamond. Do they know that that's what it is? How do they know that when you kill a mandrel?
I think that's later on, that's what they're doing. They're exporting them from Eden to that, because he says it's to fund his project, isn't it? That's the reason he did it, was because I think that's...
Or at least at some point he's like, someone's told him he's figured it out.
Yeah.
And
I think that's the whole thing of
they're doing.
He's just brought them along, and then it's obviously they've just got out. And it's kind of the Doctor's fault, but it's kind of also Dimmon's fault. That was a bit confusing, because Dimmon crashing into the ship, then I don't quite know.
But he did that on purpose, didn't he? No.
I think he did.
No, I don't think he meant to.
No, I think he did. I think that was to bring...
Because he's got that laser at the end that's to do that. No, the laser's to get the stuff... Like,
I think because the Doctor's come, it's like drawn them... It's made them crash.
But the Doctor doesn't... No, I think the Doctor came because of the crash. Isn't that? Because to me, it came across as... They crashed into the ships knowing that they were going to put the drugs from Dimmon's ship into the big cruising ship. But then there was a distress call when the Doctor arrived because of they were in the areas. So that's how I've sort of thought of it.
See, no, I went really left field. I thought the laser... I thought he was pointing it and the laser was somehow, like, bringing them over. And I thought that they were trying to get away because...
there was something about
they were figuring out that they're involved and they were just trying to escape before anyone caught them.
But the crystal...
Like
the crystal is...
There was stuff in the crystal, and then that laser thing was going to, like, transport it over in the crystal, so they'd be, like, undetectable through, like, customs and stuff.
Possibly. That all gets a bit confusing to me.
Yeah, I don't read into that too much.
I thought it was a bit weird when that mandrel first gets killed and Romana's like scared of it, and then she jumps over it twice. Do you see her leaping over that mandrel?
It's not that.
She proper like ballets over it.
Also, we haven't mentioned yet, but are the policemen the worst policemen you've ever seen in your life?
Oh, they're awful. Because they're so bad.
They spend half the time like trying to get the Doctor, and then the minute it's like, oh, it's not the Doctor, it's Trist, they're like, okay, well, there you go. Hello, Chuck, there you are.
And they just like go along with like whatever anyone says. They have no like ideas of their own.
No. And one of them was in another Doctor Who. So I think they were both in other Doctor Who's, but the one that I recognised was in Image of the Fendel, he's the slightly smaller one, but he plays the son of the old lady, or grandson.
Oh, Scientists at Breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
The old lady.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realise that was him.
Yeah, I think so.
I know. I don't think they were particularly strong in this. They were a bit annoying, but you needed those characters to be there, to be the ones to be like, "Oi, what's going on?" Otherwise, with the captain out of it, you haven't got anybody else as that authority to chase people around and be like, "You're going to be under arrest." Because otherwise, the Doctor and Romana could go wherever they wanted, and the whole point was they're sort of like criminals on this ship, so they have to like secretly go around corridors and stuff rather than just walk around. That's the point of them.
They also have the worst guns. I mean, this story has like the worst guns ever.
Oh yeah, they're awful. Yeah, they're not inventive at all. But also for me, I don't know. It just sort of added to the charm of it.
There's one bit that cracked me up. I know we're jumping a bit, but in the 4th episode where one of the canine blasts one of them, like one of the guards, and he just the like weirdest fool I've ever seen in my life.
Yes, I know. It was like it was when like they said don't do that, and then K9 does something. I know exactly which bit you mean.
I thought the bit with the captain when he's coming off the drugs and he's like a bit violent towards Romana. I thought that was a bit.
That was good. Yeah,
it was really good, and I think that was I liked that in that it showed why it had been banned. Because up until then, I was just kind of like, it just seems a bit pissed. Like, I don't understand too much why this was so dangerous, other than the fact that it's a drug. But like, I don't know, maybe he's going to have a hangover tomorrow or something. But actually, it's like a need. He needs that feeling again. And it's a really serious, and that's why. And I was like, I felt it gave a real gravitas as to the dangers of it.
And it's a shame he gets killed, but it kind of also makes sense at that point, really.
Well, I mean, what would happen? Would he go to rehab? I don't, like, how would they like...
Well, he said no, no, no.
He did say no, no, no. Yeah.
That I think you can see where the director has quit and it's all over to Tom Baker is that last scene where the Doctor's getting all the Mandrels into the Eden, and then he does all that silly bit of he goes off screen, doesn't he? And you hear him sort of like, oh,
my arms,
oh,
my legs.
Ow, oh.
Yeah.
That is Tom Baker, I think, 100% making that a bit too silly, and nobody is there to say to him, no, that's not actually funny, because then the policemen are there or whatever, and they're just like, oh, okay, he's dead.
That was the only bit really that I felt went on a bit too long, actually.
Yeah.
I kind of thought, I don't know what it's trying to achieve. I could feel like if he's going off into danger, but it didn't feel like that. It felt like he was just trying to have them on.
But I do like, I mean, that bit was a little bit silly, but I like, in this story particularly, you see the balance of Tom Baker, because I always think with Tom Baker as the Doctor, when he walks into a situation, he is like the centre of attention. You know, he is the person that you'd listen to. But then he's also got the kind of like silly moments, and there's some great scenes when he's talking about, you know, the Vraxoin and, you know, it's wiped out civilizations. But then you can have those silly little bits of, I mean, that again, I know I mentioned it earlier, but the scene of him talking about, you know, not working for Galactic and not being paid, it's quite a good balance, and I feel that's done quite well in this story. That even though he is the centre of attention, you still listen to him. He still has that kind of silly side to him as well. And like all the bits with the Mandrel where he discovers the Vraxoin, I mean, that's quite silly. But then it's like, well, actually, he's found out what it is now, and he knows how dangerous it is. And
those moments throughout, I thought actually there was a nice balance. It was just that last bit, and I thought that kind of, it just didn't feel necessary. It kind of ruined what that scene was, which was him getting them back into Eden, and then him trying to get out before they jump, like before they follow him, herding cows or something.
Even though we do have like silly accents and all the other jokes and everything, I do believe that the drugs were dangerous and they were a threat in that way. Even if the Mandrels weren't, you know, and the Mandrel, if it was going to get you, it would kill you. It was believable. These were believable threats in this, despite all of the...
I thought it was really clever that they became the drugs.
Yeah.
I really liked that as well. There was a lot of things that I did enjoy about this.
There's one thing I didn't enjoy, going back slightly in part 4. How did Dimon not see the Doctor when he got into that ship? There's a scene, you know, when he transports onto Dimon's ship and he's like, oh, I've got to get back. That is the smallest spaceship I have ever seen in my life. And he still doesn't see him.
I feel like, oh yeah, when he's in the actual ship and he's like literally next to him.
Well, he can't see. He's just got his visor, isn't he? He's got his
but he walks in and he
steps in and then like puts it on and steps out. You'd think like, I'm very aware that like there's someone in a very close proximity, and the Doctor's just holding his breath, isn't he?
I do also find another thing. The end is really weird. It's such a weird, like, it feels a bit like the writer didn't know how to end it, and it's like, I know what would like to be an electronic zoo. It's like, or electric zoo. Oh, what about you? Like, it's K9. Ha ha ha. It seems a bit, I don't know how you would have ended it, but it just seems a bit of a sort of random, like, generic end scene of making a joke.
Yeah, I wanted to see them get back on the TARDIS and leave. That's what I wanted. That's how it should have ended. I agree. But I wonder whether some of it by this point was just, you know, he wanted to have his fun and his silliness. And then they were like, whatever, let's just like, okay, fine, whatever. Because it just felt more like a silly thing than an actual, and we get on and we're gone. And then we see where they go next.
But we are left with Della and Stott, our new couple of the season.
With no chemistry.
That's true. I thought that. I was like, oh, yeah, you've not met each other 5 minutes ago.
Like, you thought this guy was dead. Do you know what I mean? You thought he died. You haven't seen him. You find out he's alive. He's actually been doing all this stuff. You'd think there'd be a little bit more chemistry there or excitement.
But what do they do now? Because, like, the captain's dead. Like,
they repopulate the planet.
What? In the cruise ship?
They don't need to...
Mark's lost his shirt.
They don't need to repopulate them. The planet is populated. They go on. They start off their new cruise service.
No one can.
Well,
no one can
but
drive.
they don't, because he's actually a secret undercover agent.
She's a passenger,
Isn't he?
She's a high class passenger. The captain's dead.
She was literally on a zoo project.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but he was an actual. Oh, yeah, he pretended to be a zoologist.
Yeah.
The captain's dead. How? What are they? Are they just going to be left stranded there forever? With
Maybe he'll fly them around. Whoever's left. Okay, so it was only that one cabin that got attacked, but the rest of you, we will go to a zoo. We'll recharge.
Yeah, we'll all go on holiday in the end. Yeah.
And the other little compartments, like, yay! Finally!
Sorry
We've
for
been
the
in
delay.
6 hours.
Yeah.
we didn't know.
We've had a few
Where's the captain?
issues.
He's dead. Oh.
Will Maggie please come to the customer
She's dead.
service?
Oh.
Maggie would then be doing the entertainment in the evening. You can imagine Maggie being on like BBC News when they're talking about it. It's like, well, I was hurt by a mandrel.
It was a terrible holiday. Awful.
Like those two characters in Comfort.
And we sent Barbara in to talk to the captain, and she got eaten.
Overall, I'd go again.
They just won't issue us a refund. Apparently, it was in the policy that we assigned. Oh, what insurance? Never take insurance out with.
But no, yeah, it was an all right story actually. It wasn't too bad, and I'm glad, Sarah, you enjoyed it. I'm very surprised.
It's not Tom Baker's finest, but it's a fun.
It's not anyone's finest, but I did genuinely. I really enjoyed it. I just found it really fun, and the cliffhangers were enough to keep me going. And the stories, I love a murder mystery sort of idea. I love a mystery that you have to figure out, and it's like a whodunit.
I think, yeah, we're going to be coming into land soon.
Oh,
aren't
hang
we?
on. Can you hear that? Is there something at the? I think there's some mandrels getting in.
Oh, no. But send Maggie out there.
Yeah,
Then
she
we've got a
could.
bit of time to finish this.
Yeah, Maggie, you
episode.
can go first.
Maggie, you go and investigate.
You're a pro at this. You've been in this position before. You know how to handle it.
Anyway, so we have. I just need to tell Sarah what the next story is going to be
Can't wait.
Yeah.
before we head off. It's called The Horns of Nymon,
The Horns of Nymon. Okay.
and it's only 4.
Okay.
There
I
we go.
can't wait for your reaction. Cannot wait.
Yeah, it's going to be. It's another. Oh, no, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything at all. I won't
Okay.
pass your judgment.
I'm just gonna say 2 words, which is meddlesome hussy, and that's all I'm saying.
Can't wait.
But yeah, thank you, David, for joining
Well,
us
thank you.
on this episode.
Well, it'd be lovely to.
Thank you,
It'd be lovely
David.
to carry on this journey with you to where are we going? Azul,
Azul.
Amarillo. Where are we
I
going?
keep saying Azul.
Where are we going? I'll choose a place on this Zil. We'll go to
We'll go to
Zil.
Zil. Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
face.
Face Zil. Yeah, no, yeah. Let's go to
All
Zil.
right. We'll have a few Camparis on a Zil. It'll be lovely.
But in the meantime, everyone, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at 2watchwho. And you can support us at buymeacoffee.com/2watchwho. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
To watch who?